Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're taking some seriously complex science and breaking it down visually. We are looking at an epic, microscopic journey that happens inside you all the time. It's a full-on biological odyssey of survival, chemical transformations, and cellular communication that literally every single medication you take must go through. So picture this. What really happens inside your body when you pop a simple headache pill? I want you to imagine the incredible biological obstacle course that tiny pill has to navigate just to cure your pain. You swallow it, and suddenly, it's an alien invader. Your body's immediate instinct is to destroy it, filter it out, and flush it away. Honestly, the fact that any medicine actually works is a true testament to some incredibly precise science. Okay, let's dive into this. Because to really understand this journey, we have to look at the two biggest tongue twisters in pharmacology. First, you have pharmacokinetics. That is essentially what your body does to the drug, the physical processing of it. Pharmacodynamics, on the other hand, is what the surviving drug does to your body. That's the biological effect.
To make sense of this intricate dance, we're going to break it down into 4 manageable chapters. 1. The body's obstacle course. 2. The secret handshake. 3. The margin of safety. And 4. When things go wrong.
All right, let's jump right into Chapter 1, the body's obstacle course. And this brilliantly illustrates the big picture of pharmacokinetics. You can see the full cycle mapped out here, from the gastrointestinal tract, into the blood, through the liver and kidneys, and back out again. This map represents the 4 mandatory stages of our pill's journey. We call this the ADME life cycle. ADME. Absorption gets it into your bloodstream. Distribution transports it out to the tissues. Metabolism transforms its chemical structure, mostly happening in the liver. And finally, excretion flushes the remnants completely out of the body. Every single drug has to survive this gauntlet. But, for a drug to even begin this journey, to be absorbed at all, it has to be in solution form. Notice the underside of the tongue pictured here. This is what we call the sublingual route. Placing a pill right here bypasses those harsh stomach acids entirely, and it uses your highly permeable oral mucosa to slip directly and rapidly into your systemic circulation. Which brings us to a really crucial biological trade-off. Swallowing a pill is actually one of the slowest routes you can take, especially when you compare it to an IV, which gives you 100% immediate absorption. But here is the golden rule you've got to remember. The faster the absorption, the quicker the onset of the effect, sure, but the shorter the duration. Basically, a fast spike means a fast fade. Now, if you do swallow a pill, it gets absorbed from the gut and goes straight to the liver. Think of your liver as the ultimate metabolic bouncer. Through what's called the first pass effect, the liver intercepts the drug and actively tries to shut it down. It uses these specialized enzymes to literally transform the drug. It takes it from being fat-soluble, or lipophilic, and forces it into a water-soluble, hydrophilic form, just so it can be dissolved and kicked out. And that expulsion, it happens right here, in the kidneys. Once the liver has made that drug water-soluble, the kidneys filter the blood. They capture these drug metabolites and send them right down the ureters to the bladder to be excreted as urine. It's the final, definitive stage of your body's mission to rid itself of this foreign substance. But what about the fraction of the drug that actually survives? Well, that brings us to Chapter 2, the secret handshake. The real secret to a drug's power lies in receptors. Think of receptors as highly complex protein locks embedded right on the surface of your cells, and they're just waiting for very specific chemical keys. Now, an absolutely crucial takeaway here is that drugs cannot create entirely new cellular functions. They just can't. They simply act as artificial keys to modify the ongoing functions your cells are already performing. And those artificial keys, they basically come in 2 flavors. An agonist is your true key. It binds to the receptor, turns the lock, and actively initiates a biological response. An antagonist, on the other hand, is like a broken key just jammed into the lock. It binds to the receptor, sure, but it completely lacks the intrinsic activity to turn it on. Its only job is to block the keyhole, preventing your body's natural chemicals from getting in there and doing their job. Which leads us directly into Chapter 3. The margin of safety, the tightrope walk between a cure and a poison. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how these dose-response curves map out potency. See that dotted line right in the middle? That's the EC50. That is the exact concentration of a drug needed to hit 50% of its maximum biological response. The further left a curve sits, like that blue fluoxetine curve, the more potent it is. You need a much smaller dose to get the exact same halfway effect.
But, potency isn't everything. We also have to look at efficacy, which is the maximum possible effect a drug can even produce. Notice how the morphine curve shoots way higher on the graph than ibuprofen or aspirin? That's because morphine is a full agonist. It can achieve 100% of the system's maximum response. Aspirin acts more like a partial agonist here. No matter how much you take, its pain relief ceiling is biologically capped far lower.
So, how do we make sure a highly efficacious drug doesn't, kill you? Pharmacologists calculate the therapeutic index, or TI. It's kind of a terrifying but entirely necessary equation. You divide the lethal dose, the LD50, by the effective treating dose, the ED50. The golden rule here: the smaller the resulting number, the more dangerous the drug is. So, the crucial point is that narrow gap labeled the margin of safety. On the left, that blue curve is the dose of morphine required for pain relief. But right over on the right, the red curve is the dose of morphine that causes severe respiratory depression. That incredibly small space between feeling no pain and stopping breathing entirely, that is exactly why pharmacology requires such extreme precision. All right, let's move to our final chapter, Chapter 4, When Things Go Wrong. The most common disruptor to this whole delicate dance is mixing medications, creating drug-drug interactions. Sometimes it's simple additive math, where 2 sedatives equal double sedation. Sometimes it's synergism, where 2 drugs actually multiply each other's effects. But then, you have protein displacement. For example, the blood thinner warfarin usually binds really tightly to plasma proteins in your blood. If you take a sulfonamide antibiotic, it actively kicks the warfarin right off those proteins. This suddenly floods your bloodstream with 100% active, free-floating blood thinners, which can cause toxic, severe bleeding.
But it's not just other drugs either. Your diet is literally packed with chemical saboteurs. Take your morning glass of grapefruit juice. Sounds super healthy, right? But grapefruit juice actively inhibits the CYP450 enzymes in your liver. By drinking it, you temporarily shut down your liver's ability to metabolize certain drugs, meaning normal doses suddenly build up to toxic levels in your blood. Similarly, eating foods high in vitamin K can entirely block the effects of warfarin.
Ultimately, any disruption to pharmacokinetics or pharmacodynamics leads to adverse reactions. And these can range from unavoidable, annoying side effects like antihistamine drowsiness, all the way to life-threatening allergic reactions or strange idiosyncratic genetic responses. But it is also really worth noting that many adverse reactions are simply due to human error, miscalculated doses in a hospital, poor patient compliance, or just a failure to educate the patient on everything we've literally just discussed. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. Next time you have a headache or need a daily vitamin and you reach into your medicine cabinet, are you just taking a simple pill? Or will you now see the incredible biological obstacle course, the hidden liver enzymes, the lock and key receptors, and the razor-thin margins of safety that tiny little chemical is about to conquer? Thanks so much for learning with me today, and I'll catch you in the next one.